This video is about price elasticity of demand. What is price elasticity of demand? What does it measure? Well, it measures how responsive quantity demand is to a change in price. So if price was to increase or decrease, how responsive would demand be to that? The formula for price elasticity of demand is the percentage change in the quantity demanded over or divided by the percentage change in price. Now, the way to remember this is that it's the Q above the P. It's the Q for queen, it's the queen above the people. So that's the way to remember the formula, the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in price. Now let's have a look at what an elastic demand curve looks like. So let's label these axes, price and quantity. Let's draw in a demand curve at 45 degrees, okay? Now to show an inelastic demand curve, we're actually going to want to remove this demand curve and we're going to rotate the demand curve to the left like this and label that D for demand. Okay, now let's have a look at why this is elastic. So let's put in P1, hit the demand curve, go down to Q1. Now let's say the price increases from P1 to P2. Let's go along, hit the demand curve, go down, and we now have quantity 2. Now have a look at the difference between the change in price, let me get my highlighter there, to the change in price. Let's just put this axis back in. Right, so let's have a look at the difference between the change in price here and the change in the quantity demanded. You can see here that the change in the quantity demanded is greater than the change in price. So the change in quantity demanded is greater than the change in price. This means that the quantity demanded has been very responsive. Therefore, this is an elastic demand curve. Now let's have a look at what an inelastic demand curve looks like. Okay, so the demand curve would rotate to the right of a 45-degree demand curve. Let's label that D. Let's chuck in P1, hit the demand curve, go down, Q1, and then let's look what happens if price increases to P2. Let's go down to quantity 2. Now here's the change in let's just put that back in there. Here's the change in price. Look at how unresponsive the change in quantity demanded is. Okay, so the change in price is actually greater. So the change in quantity demanded is less than the change in price. Therefore, the PED is inelastic. The PED is inelastic. Okay, let's have a look at some numerical examples here. So we go back to the formula. The answer is always going to be a minus number. So let's just say the answer is minus 5. In order to determine whether that is inelastic or elastic, we just need to remove the minus sign. We just need to kind of ignore the minus, if you like. And the 5 is greater than 1. And if we scroll down, if the number is greater than 1, then the product will be elastic. But if we had an answer of minus 0.5, again, we just need to kind of ignore the minus sign. The answer is 0.5, that is less than 1, so the product will be inelastic. Now in the examination, if we are asked to calculate price elasticity of demand, we must not exclude the minus sign. We still must write down the minus sign in the examination. Okay, so what factors influence price elasticity of demand? The first one is substitutes. So if a product has loads and loads and loads and loads of substitutes, if the price increased, let's go up to this one, if the price increased, then consumers would go and buy one of the many substitutes instead. So if a product has many substitutes, the price elasticity of demand would be elastic. But if there are no substitutes or few substitutes, then the product is likely to be inelastic. The increase in price means that the quantity demanded won't change, and it won't change much because there are no or few substitutes to buy products from instead. Other factors influencing price elasticity of demand is necessity and luxury. If the good is a necessity, then it will be inelastic, because if the price increased, then consumers need that product, so they will continue to buy that product. If it's a luxury product, then the price elasticity of demand would be elastic, and that is because it's not a product that somebody needs. Also, the percentage of income spent on goods and services, if it's very low, if it's a bottle of water and the price of the bottle of water increases, then the quantity demanded will not change that much, so it will be inelastic. But if the product is a Ferrari sports car and there's an increase in price, then the demand will be very responsive, because it's already an expensive product to buy. So if the price increased, the price will increase dramatically, and it would be a huge percentage of somebody's income. So if the product is a high percentage of a consumer's income, then the price elasticity of demand will be elastic.